ingredients are cultivated, they actually add a huge carbon footprint to that product. Okay. So if we can actually tell the farmer or teach him or give him a better way of cultivation, it has got a serious impact in as far as our final carbon footprint is concerned. And the rest of it is coming from solar. And this solar again, it differs from state to state. The regulations in terms of solar, some of these elements, so, and find out ways to imbibe more and more of these sustainable practices into our organizations, so that we will be able to achieve our objective.
Thanks, Rajesh. Absolutely, this is the kind of real life examples like what you mentioned, that how to improve how to reduce the water consumption of the crops which you're engaging, and surely that water will go to other purposes also. So not only does it reduce the carbon footprint of your organization, but it gets used in some other productive purposes, which again contributes to the economy of the country also. Mr. Chandrasekhar, your views please on the same subject. How do we deploy this triple bottom line concept to our local context, please?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very happy to. I think back in India, it's a bit more kind of, it can be more, it's a bit stronger opportunity to actually implement some of the learnings from the West and from the East. One of the key reasons being the length of supply chain. Now, one of the key issues that a lot of large companies have is that length of supply chain really makes it really difficult for two reasons. One, to understand what's actually going on across the chain, and two, to understand how do they actually improve the entire carbon footprint or other areas of sustainability by reducing the use of packaging and stuff. Because larger the supply chain, the traditional approach is that you make sure that the products are well packed and it kind of travels much longer distance, or the fact that because there are larger supply chains and there are so many players making it happen, it is a much stronger construct to kind of drive anything out there. Back in India, it's a much more easier way, I would say very easy. I think that's a difficult word to use out here because nothing is going to be easy on this particular format. But then making sure that we are able to wrap up the entire supply chain much more easily than some of the larger, wider supply chains available there, which makes it easier for us to kind of go out there and understand how do we impact the core operations out there. Like Rajesh made an example of how are we able to work much more closely with the society on the ground, with the farmers and stuff. And I know that companies like Amul have been doing that for a very long time earlier. Making sure that we understand and we are able to kind of, should be in a way, educate the customers and the suppliers in a much more easier way, because you are working much more closely with the suppliers and customers as compared to some of the other companies out here where the distance is way too long and way too large. So it kind of makes it easier for us to kind of drive that thinking through. I think another element which comes out is we probably need to, and I think a lot of other companies have gone through that cycle. We need to make sure that the focus is not just on cost when our buyers are actually going out to market and trying to get the product that we need to for the use in their own production systems, and understanding that they need to measure it not just from the cost perspective, but also looking at what is the impact on the society and what is the impact on the overall, should we say, not just the people, the planet, but also how everyone in the supply chain is actually winning a share of that profit, rather than all the profit being consumed at just one end and everybody else just getting the cost share of it. And I think
back to Kobayashi-san, he was, while he has told us about the driver, the problems related to on-ground transportation, he is also having a lot of expertise in multimodal transport. So multimodal transport means, combined methods of transporting, or using things which are conventionally not used in a big way, whether it is waterways or railway transportation mode, etc. So would you kindly share some of your, he has been, especially since he has been in India for more than almost 1 year, and he's been studying our local logistics methodology. Can you kindly give us some thoughts on what we can do in India?
Thanks, Sandesh. Well, regarding the cross-modal, multimodal transportation, mostly our focus is on the long haul, as Nansan says. Well, let me talk about something in Japan or global. First of all, we'd like to have some calculation method, how our customer will consume or use the CO2. so that we can show our customer how much you spend. Then, first of all, our approach to customers, we want to learn your supply chain as end-to-end as much as possible. So, of course, it depends on the, how heavy, how big, or how quickly. So, every time logistics needs differs. So, we'd like to design for the long-haul logistics what mode is suitable for customer and suitable for planet, for green point of view. So now we are doing this kind of the consultation with the customer to provide the best solution or best combination of the model. By the way, in globally to say, due to any issues in the Russian issue, this now totally the things are in a mess. But globally, the needs of rail transport is definitely growing up. For example, China and Europe, they are linked in their, let's say, cross-border rail. And maybe 20 years ago back, nobody didn't use it for commercial base. But nowadays, many production parts or maybe consumer goods moving on in the Eurasian continent to westbound or eastbound. And see now coming back to India. India for me is very huge country, huge land and huge let's say economic activities. So I feel the same way. We are still able to promote more rail transportation, and of course we have to think about the cost. But at the same time, I can feel that some of my customer is now asking about more rail opportunity in terms of the CO2 emission. So I can feel this change in Indian customers, and now of course we are trying to let's say encourage our customers or stakeholders to use more rail in this very large country. Okay. And by the way, and also Japan is very small to compare with India. But well, I have to recalculate again. But for the coastal line itself, maybe we are island countries, so we have as long as many long coastal lines. Then, for example, next in Japan we have on 5 domestic liner. And recently, due to the climate change, Japan we are hit by a very bad natural disaster like heavy rain or maybe stoppage of the rail. But to do so, we have to prepare also the coastal shipping, because then when the rail has some stoppage, we switch from rail to coastal. Of course, we may ask additional lead time, but still, for the nobody can beat nature in Japanese. So anyway, we ask the good understanding of my customers, and now try to our logistics sector and company customers. We try to think about in the same way. Now it's a time for think about multimodal. So this is what I see in India for this one. Thank you.
And what he has mentioned, I'm sure it strikes a chord with all of us. With the kind of railway infrastructure India has, the number of rivers which we have, the opportunity is simply immense. So if we go for this multimodal transportation, and I know a lot of steps have been taken by the government in the past and private organizations also. So where you have the roll-on roll-off kind of a transport arrangement which was started on Indian Railways. Government is having the dedicated freight corridors on the for the railway thing, and there is a plan to link the rivers. But there is a lot more which can be done. I can also see that in the audience we have a lot of senior people as well as a lot of youngsters or young people who will be getting into the positions of responsibility, maybe getting an opportunity to implement and influence some of these things. And keeping this thought in mind, will be definitely valuable. That how can we mix and match and get the maximum value for our organization as well as for our society both. Now, continuing this discussion, since you talked about long haul transport, and Anand, when he was speaking, he also spoke about how he is augmenting the capacity of the trucks which or the freight systems which he is developing. I'm calling it freight systems because it is not just the vehicle, but he's kind of looking at the broader aspect of it. And it is very heartening to see that taking encouragement from the emerging trends, entrepreneurs in India like Mr. Anand are developing their time, effort and money, are putting their time, effort and money to create this kind of capability in India. I request the audience to join me in giving a big hand to Mr. Anand for doing this original creative work and putting his efforts. Now, would you also like to share with us, Mr. Anand, that how can this be kind of brought to the masses? So that the fact can be some kind of what is the kind of experience you had when you brought this system to the potential clients? What are the kind of responses you got, good or bad, whatever it may be? How you are thinking of overcoming those resistance or roadblocks which you have and making it mainstream?
Thank you, Sanjay. So, roadblocks are there at everything which you try to do something new or unique. But one thing is very, very clear that we learned as we met every customer and corporate, that everyone has a clear mission of going green. So we went to each and every customer and we said, we will make you go green. Actually, LNG is a fossil fuel again, but and it reduces 28% of carbon dioxide. It's not 100% green, but yeah, from a sustainability point of view, as and when hydrogen and EV will come, currently this is a solution which is there in front of all of us and them. So we went and gave them that our mission in Greenline Logistics is to make you go green at no extra cost of diesel that you are currently paying. So this doesn't hit your balance sheet, which is extremely important for every company. It helps you improve your ESG score because you are reducing carbon dioxide, SOx, NOx, particles, everything. It's these trucks that we took in when we did the complete break-even, we did the complete detailing of these trucks. It also gave a lot of driver comfort, as what Koishi-san said, that there was a lot of challenges where the drivers also face. So from an ESG point of view, what we brought on the table, that drivers should have a safe environment. These trucks are emitting 30% less noise in comparison to HSC trucks, which is again very, very good for them. We ensured that the drivers had air-conditioned cabins. We put in mandatory cameras inside and outside the truck. We put in 5 truck cameras so that their safety is not compromised. We have put an AI-enabled software which gives me every detailing of the truck, and as well as it also helps my command center to know in case if my driver is feeling sleepy or anything, give him an alert to keep the truck aside, rest for some time, and ensure. So, what we are trying to make a sustainable environment, a sustainable logistics, freight corridors. Today, our government is putting up good road networks. From 2019 to now, if you see 124,000 kilometers have been constructed, another 14,000 kilometers is getting constructed by 2024. So a great job is being done by them. With these, we feel if the complete LNG stations are built across India and these 1400 kilometer range trucks are put on the road, it will reduce carbon dioxide on a straight, which is very, very helpful to every customer, corporates, bringing down their carbon footprint down, improving their ESG score, and a clear mission that it improves on across to everybody. in the environment, in the citizenship. It's all across a win-win situation for all of us.
Share with you as much detail as possible, I mean, within the time constraints, which possibly some of you may find it useful or replicable. In HUL, we have reduced our logistics carbon intensity by almost 50% in the last decade. And we have achieved this milestone through structural changes in our manufacturing and distribution network and ensuring higher operational efficiency. We have a policy, or we have a kind of a philosophy of load more, travel less strategy, which focuses on improving the truck utilization, reduction in distance traveled. However, to move forward towards net zero, we would need to really go beyond and adopt newer technology and alternatives, alternate solutions, whether it is bio-CNG, biodiesel, electric vehicles, or LNG, as Anand was mentioning. Going forward, we are talking with Shell, GOBP, Linfox, Tata, and many other partners to adopt these solutions. And currently, proof of concept trials and even pilots are going on for many of these initiatives. So please allow me to share some on-ground example action details with you on what are the key levers of carbon reduction. And when I talk of carbon reduction, initial years, as I mentioned, the results came to the company through operational efficiency improvement. So we focused, the levers which we utilized were basically efficiency improvement and fleet modernization, loading efficiency. I'll give some details of that. I'll share some details of that. And a lot of preparatory work was done for phase 2. When I say phase 2, it is something where from this year to 2030, 2023 to 2030, what is our strategy? Because we have made a commitment to go for net zero in our logistics operations by 2030. In order to achieve that, very clearly, it is a scenario where the traditional method of efficiency improvement, loadability improvement, etc., will not be able to get us there. It will give incremental improvements, but it will not get us to our end target. So the phase 2 activities include fleet modernization will continue. Then it will have zero emission warehousing, clean diesel, light and medium duty trucking, including electrification, and alternate fuel like bio-CNG, maybe hydrogen in the coming times. And phase 3, which is beyond 2030, will be heavy duty truck electrification and maybe hydrogen, because fossil fuels may go out of logistics chain of many organizations in the coming time. But there is a rules in our electricity generation, but the steps which are being taken by the government to encourage solar electricity or hydel power plants, even micro hydel power plants, I think these things will slowly but steadily take dominance, and we will have more of clean energy or clean electricity being available to power our infrastructure. This is one. Secondly, to your point about the resources like lithium and so on and so forth, which are required for making the batteries. So yes, there is a risk of depletion if we keep consuming them at the current rate, but I am sure that going forward, newer technologies of making them more efficient would come. Even in mobile phones, we have seen that how the batteries are becoming much more compact. Earlier, when in the good old days, when I purchased my first mobile way back, I had to replace that Nokia BL5C battery every 2 years or so. So in the life, I used that phone for about 5 years or so, and I changed 3 batteries. Now a single battery which is fitted in the phone lasts for much longer duration. Although the youngsters of today use it for gaming, use it for chatting, use it for God knows what, the current drawn from the battery is so much more increased, but the life of the battery is also increased. So hopefully we are using much less of lithium over there. Same way, I am quite sure that the technologies will come which will allow us people will also realize the value of recycling the resources or the utilizing the batteries. I am quite sure, just like we sell our newspapers and glass for a good price, very soon there will be good amount of recycling happening for the batteries and things. Government is also taking steps to put some e-waste legislation in place. And forget about the legislation, even the economic value which is there in the battery would make people take it back. You don't see lead acid batteries being thrown away because they are getting recycled, and the reserves of lead are not getting exhausted because the things are back into circuit. So while you are saying is a good point, I fully take. I think actually that points us in the direction of the opportunities which are there to overcome this challenge.
That carbon dioxide emission is happening somewhere else while you are charging the EV vehicles of what you are currently using. So in our stations, what we are trying to ensure that we build in a solar, wind, some kind of a hybrid, or at least solar charging stations also clubbed with fast charging. And the request would be that as EV progresses, and such as and all other corporates are looking for EV vehicles to be put in, because EV is currently short haul just like CNG. You can do about 200-300 kilometers, you cannot do long haul. So please put hybrid solution or solar solution. So when you're saying you are putting in EV, you are actually going green and you're not still burning fossil fuel. While whether we say natural gas, as Vireji also said, you are burning somehow or the other, whether it is coal, whether it is LNG, all are fossil fuels and all are getting burned. So naturally the need of the hour is to ensure that when you are using EV from logistics point of view, if the corporates and also can ensure that there are solar charge stations behind which can really make it go green to the best possible manner if it is.
The role of government as far as policy is concerned, it plays a very important role. It's not limited just to the energy sector or the transportation sector, but to many other sectors. Like for example, I will give you an example. When we talk about packaging, because that's my favorite area, so I keep coming back to that example. You would see a whole lot of water bottles made out of PET, right? Till yesterday, there were at least 3 regulations which prevented recycled PET to be used back to preparing manufacturing a bottle. So there were the last bit of the regulation change, which was the Bureau of Indian Standards coming up with the appropriate standards, happened just 2 days back. So today India has enabled circularity for PET by ensuring that recycled content, input contact materials. So